Chapter 11. The Terms. Evara left through blue fire and took the room's air with her. Orren stayed seated because she had told him to sit. That was the first humiliation. The second was that he needed to. His body had become a poor instrument. In a long performance, no one had given him time to rehearse. The chair held him upright while his legs shook under the table. His wounded arm throbbed against the bandage Orren had tied. His bare foot had gone numb on the polished black floor. Blood crusted beneath his nose and at the corner of his mouth. Every breath dragged over the torn place in his throat, where song had come out too often and too hard. Evara had seen all of it. She had made him sit. Then she had gone with Volos. Orren looked at the passage where the blue fire had closed behind her. It was only a wall now. No seam, no door, no sign that a woman could be taken through it and brought back. Not taken. She had walked. That mattered. It mattered in the exact way a knife mattered, because the blade was clean. Orren stood on the other side of the table, hands folded into his sleeves, his face turned toward the wall where Evara had vanished. For once, he did not look as if the world were a joke he had heard too many times. He looked tired. Good. Orren wanted everyone tired. It seemed indecent that the house could stand so steady while he was coming apart inside it. "You are thinking too loudly," Orren said. Orren did not look at him. "Then go farther away. I am forbidden several convenient directions." "You are a god. And yet doors continue to have opinions." "Open one." "No." Orren's hand tightened on the chair arm. "Try." "I have." "You stood there." "I did so with tremendous effort." Orren looked at him then. Orren's eyes were not amused. The anger in Orren lost its footing for half a breath. He hated that. He wanted Orren, easy to hate, quick mouth, evasive answers, old guilt wrapped in boyish skin, the kind of god a man could blame, because the god would step aside from the worst of it and make blaming feel earned. But Orren looked toward the wall with something like shame. That made him harder to use. "Can you hear them?" Orren asked. No. The answer came too fast to be a lie. Orren's throat tightened. Can he hurt her? Yes. Orren rose halfway from the chair. The room leaned in. Not moved. Leaned. The blue seams in the walls dimmed. A drawer behind Volos's empty place slid open by a finger's width. Orren turned sharply. "Sit." Orren stayed half-risen, one hand on the table, the other gripping the chair. He said yes. "And you are going to do what?" "Bleed at the wall until it reconsiders architecture." "I can sing." "No," Orren said. The word cracked across the table. Pel and Nim, still behind the column, both jumped. Pel hit his head on the stone. Nim put a hand over his own mouth, perhaps to trap a correction inside. Orren stared at Orren. The Roadwing's face had gone hard. "No," Orren said again. "Quieter. You do not sing your fear into his house while she is away from you." Orren's pulse hammered against his torn throat. "I would not force. You do not know what you would force when afraid." The words struck too near. Orren sat. Not because Orren commanded it, because the chair was suddenly beneath him again, and his knees had no pride left. He looked at the black glass record on the table. His name lay under its surface, pale and faint, like a dead fish beneath ice. Orren Keld, living trespass, river-marked, Malin's son. He put his hand over the glass before the last thought could finish forming. The glass was cold. The record did not change. "She will come back," Orren said. Orren laughed once. It hurt. "You do not know that." "No." "Then why say it?" "Because if I say nothing, you will fill the silence with worse things." Orren looked toward the wall again. The silence had already begun doing that. Evara On the other side of it, standing before Volos with her burned hand tucked close, Volos offering another chair. Volos naming all the ways Orren had failed her. Volos telling her rest could be had without hunger, without weather, without Orren's need pressing at her like a cold thumb on a bruise. Evara listening. Evara wanting rest. Evara choosing it. No, not choosing. He seized the word before it could become accusation. He had asked her what she wanted. She had said she wanted many things. He had hated that answer, because it was not a door he could open with his shoulder. But it had been true. Evara always found the true shape before he did, and made him resent the effort. Orren watched him. What? Orren snapped. You stopped yourself. From what? Something ugly. Orren looked away. The house murmured softly in the walls. It had voices everywhere. Some sounded like drawers, some like distant water, some like people speaking in rooms that would never open for him. The sound pressed at his ears until he wanted to answer it with his own, just to prove he had not come all this way to sit silently while other powers chose the key and lock. A tiny movement near the column caught his eye. Pell peered around it. When Orren looked, Pell vanished back behind stone. Nim whispered, "Subtle." Pell whispered, "You look, then." "I am looking from a safer angle. You are hiding behind my wing." "It is not a wing. It is a legal screen." Orren closed his eyes, for a moment absurdly. The whispering helped. It reminded him of the low beam after a bad song. Men arguing over nothing because nothing was easier to hold than hunger. Mara cursing at a pot. Torv accusing a spoon of being bent by foreign sympathies. Ordinary foolishness. Ordinary people. A room where death was not a lord's architecture, but only something that came later. Unwelcome, and usually without clean floors. He might never see it again, even if he left. The thought slid in quietly. If he brought Evara back, where would they go? No house, no ship, no Kamarath introduction, unless Ankistro still lived. And if Ankistro lived, Orren did not know whether that was promise or threat. Skeldrun remained cold. Mara remained behind. Ivara's father remained dead. Malin remained dead. His song remained what it was. Gift, weapon, inheritance, question. The river's certainty in him pushed the thoughts aside. Evara first, everything after. He heard that cleanness now, because Volos had named it. Because Evara had looked afraid of it. He pressed both hands against his face and breathed through them. "Does river water lie?" he asked. Orren was quiet for long enough that Orren lowered his hands. "No," Orren said. "Then what? It makes one truth too available." Orren looked at him. Orren shrugged without humor. "A lie pushes against the world. The river is older than that. It takes what already has a claim and files it at the front of the drawer. Evara does have claim. Yes. Then what is wrong with that? Many things with claim are not rightful monarchs." Orren's mouth twisted. Another proverb. "I am deteriorating. I love her. Yes, she died because I led her." Orren did not answer. "She is there because I did not look." Still no answer. "So yes," Orren said. "Yes. That truth stands first." Orren's face tightened. "It is not the only truth. It is the one that matters now. To you." Orren rose. This time, the house did not lean. Perhaps it had learned he would only stand badly and go nowhere. He braced one hand on the table. "Do not speak like him." Orren looked toward the blue fire wall. "I was speaking like myself, which is an older and more disappointing problem. She is not many." "No," Orren said. "Do not ever say it that way again." "I won't." Orren had expected resistance. The easy answer took some of the force from him. He sat again because standing had won nothing and cost much. The passage opened, not with warning, not with a sound. The blue fire at the hearth folded aside, and the wall became a doorway. Evara stepped through first. Orren's body moved before thought. He stood. The chair tipped behind him, but did not fall this time. He caught the table edge, breathing too hard, watching her. She had not changed. Of course she had not. Not visibly. Same dark mantle, same grey bandage, same pale hair, same mouth held too carefully. But something had been added to her face, or taken from it. She looked as if she had set one more weight on an already crowded shelf, and knew exactly where it balanced. Pell came behind her, moving fast to appear useful. Nim followed, wringing his hands and looking at everyone except Volos. Volos entered last. No hurry. No triumph. That made Orren afraid. Ivara's eyes went first to the chair Orren had knocked back and righted. Then to him. She saw that he stood. "Sit," she said. Pell's mouth opened. Nim whispered, "Again." Orren almost refused. Not from anger this time, from shame. Then he saw her face. Not stern, not soft. Tired. He sat, Ivara's shoulders lowered by a fraction. That mattered more than pride. Volos returned to his place near the table. The black glass record stirred under its pale writing. A new drawer opened from the wall and glided across the chamber, joining the first above the table. This one was empty inside, waiting. Irene shifted. Volos looked at him. "You will witness. I have developed a strong dislike for that word. You will witness." Iron's mouth thinned. "Yes." Volos looked toward Pell and Nim. Pell stood very straight. "Witnessing?" Nim nodded. Under extreme protest, internally filed. Then Volos looked at Evara. She stood beside the table, not across from Orren, not beside Volos. Her own place. The house had not given her a chair. Or perhaps she had refused to let one appear. Orren could not tell. Finally, Volos looked at him. "The terms will be spoken plainly," he said. Orren nodded. Evara said, "Aloud and in order." Volos's gaze moved to her. "In order," he said. Orren's hands tightened on his knees. Volos lifted one finger. On the empty black glass, pale letters formed. First, "Orren Keld may leave the last house alive." The line wrote itself. Orren barely heard it. Alive mattered only because alive could hold Evara's hand. Second, "Evara Sol may leave the last house and return to the living world if she follows by her own steps." The room seemed to listen harder. Evara's face did not move. By her own steps. Good. Right. Terrible. Third, Orren Keld must walk before her along the outward path. Orren looked at Evara. Her eyes remained on Volos. Fourth, he must not look back until both he and Evara Soln have fully crossed into the living world. The words entered him like cold water. He knew they were coming before they were spoken. Still the body remembered. Dark waves are behind him, his face toward the song. Shore first, then term. Shore first. He gripped his knees harder. Evara looked at him then, only then, not long. Long enough. "I can do that," he said. "No," she said. His breath stopped. "No?" he whispered. "You can hear the term," she said. "Do not perform surviving it before he is done." The correction should have stung. It did. It also steadied him. Volos continued. "Fifth, he must not call her forward by song, command, magic, bargain, threat, name, plea, or force." Orren's mouth went dry. Not call, not even plea. Ivara's eyes sharpened. "Define call." Volos said, "Any act meant to compel, hasten, bind, pull, or alter her steps from what they would be by her own choosing." Evara looked at Orren. He could not hold her gaze. The record wrote. "Sixth," Volos said, "he must not stray from the outward path. No side door, no bargain with passing dead, no road opened by Orren, no song sung to change the path's nature. Iron's face went very still. No road? Orren asked. No. If the path breaks, it will not. If it seems to? Volos looked at him. Then it will seem to. That is not. Evara said, "Ask better." He swallowed. "If I believe she is in danger behind me?" Volos said, "Belief does not alter term." Orren's jaw tightened. Evara's hand, the good one, closed once and opened. "What if she is in danger?" she asked. Volos looked at her. "The path will not harm you while the terms hold. That is not every danger." "No? What else can harm me?" "Choice." Nim made a tiny sound that might have been despair appreciating craft. Evara's mouth tightened. "If I stop, then you have stopped." "Does he fail?" "No." Orren turned toward her. The world narrowed. If she stopped, he did not fail. If she stopped, she stayed. If she stopped, he would hear. "No, no," Volos continued. "If she ceases to follow by her own steps, the path remains open until Orren Keld reaches the living threshold. If he crosses without breach, he returns alone." Orren stood. The chair scraped. Evara did not tell him to sit this time. "No," he said. Volos looked at him. "No." The word sounded smaller the second time. Volos waited. "I did not come for a loan." "No." "Then do not put alone in the terms." "It is already in them." Orren felt the river certainty strain against something dark and huge. "Alone." The word was the whole journey reversed. The low beam after Evara left. His room, with no listener. The shore with her name tearing from him and returning empty. The beach after Malin's hand fell. He could not cross alone. He would not. Evara stepped toward him. The house allowed it. She stopped at the table's corner. "Orren." He looked at her. "If I stop," she said, "you do not make that choice for me." The sentence struck him harder than Tharos's breath. "I would not leave you." "That is not what I said." "It is what it means." "No," she said. "It is what you fear it means." He stared at her. The blue fire moved in her eyes. She was afraid too. He saw it then, not of Volos only, not of the house, of the terms, of him, of herself, of what she might choose if given one breath too many. "You would stop?" he asked. Her face changed. Not guilt, pain. "I don't know. The record did not write that." Orren wished it had. He wished the house would take the words and seal them somewhere outside him, because they were too sharp to carry loose. "I don't know," she said again, softer. "That is why the term matters." The river water in him did not like uncertainty. It pushed. He nearly said, "Then say you will come." He nearly said, "Promise me." He nearly said, after all this. He heard the ugliness before it left him. Evara saw him hear it. Her eyes filled, not with tears, with recognition. He sat down. No one told him. Volos spoke again. 7th. If Orren Keld looks back before both have crossed, strays from the path, or calls Evara Soln forward in breach of the term, the return is void. The record wrote. Orren watched each word form. Void. 8th. If the return is void, Evara Soln remains in the last house. He closed his eyes. No, no, no. 9th, Volos said. Evara inhaled. Orren opened his eyes. Volos's gaze did not leave him. If the return is void, Orren Keld's song becomes forfeit to the last house. The chamber went silent. Not quiet. Silent. Even the records stopped. Orren did not understand at first. His song. Forfeit. The words stood together, but would not become meaning. Then his body understood. His hand went to his throat. Evara stepped toward Volos. No. Volos looked at her. No. she said again. That is not part of return. That is punishment. It is cost. It is theft. It is term. You cannot. She stopped. Because he could. They all knew he could. Orren's fingers pressed into the hollow at the base of his throat. His song had been his first food, his first roof, his first way of making a room look at him, and not through him. It had warmed Mara's tavern. It had fed him. It had carried Evara's name before he learned how not to mishandle it. It had anchored men on a ship and soothed a hound at death's gate. It was Malin in him too, and he had only just learned enough to be horrified by that. Forfeit. If he failed, he would not even be able to sing the loss. Good part of him thought. That part frightened him. Good. If I fail her again, let the thing that failed her go with it. Evara looked at him. Do not make that face. He blinked. What face? The one that says you can bear it, because bearing it proves something. He had no defense. Volos watched them. Orren whispered, Orren. There was warning in it. No. Grief, Volos continued. 10th. If the return is void, the failed bargain marks Orrenkeld's soul. Death alone will not guarantee reunion with Evara Soln. The floor seemed to vanish under the chair. Orren gripped the table, but his hands had gone numb. Not even death. He had thought it somewhere under everything. Even if he failed. Even if Volos killed him. Even if Tharos had eaten him. Even if the house closed and the road vanished. There would still be death. A shorter road. A darker one. A final crossing no god could deny, because all living things owed it. Death alone will not guarantee reunion. The term took even that and placed it beyond reach. Evara's face had gone white. Orren, she said. He could not answer. The river certainty had gone quiet. For the first time since drinking, he felt the full shape of doubt return. Not gone. Not filed. Not behind. Here. If he failed, he lost her. If he failed, he lost song. If he failed, even dying would not carry him to her cleanly. And the test was silence behind him. Volos lowered his hand. The final line wrote itself on the black glass. Then all the terms stood together, pale and exact. Evara turned to Volos. Repeat the 5th. Volos did, word for word. She listened with her whole face. Repeat the 4th. He did. Define fully crossed. When both bodies and names stand beyond the living threshold, and no part of either remains under house jurisdiction. Names? She asked. Names? Evara looked at Orren. Orren nodded once, grimly. She turned back. If he speaks to me, without compelling me, Volos said. Permitted if the speech does not call, hasten, bind, pull, alter, or command. How will intent be judged? The house hears intention. That is convenient. Yes? Orren looked up. Evara was standing straight now. Fear turned into questions, because questions gave her a handle. This was the woman from the field. The woman below deck counting exits. The woman who had asked about boots when he wanted to speak of warmth. The woman who could stand before the Lord below and make danger repeat itself slowly. Love moved through him so sharply he nearly made a sound. He swallowed it. Good. She glanced at him, not missing the swallowed sound. Of course. What if I speak first? She asked. Permitted. What if I ask him to stop? Volos said, he may stop. What if I ask him to turn? The room chilled. Volos looked at her. Then you will have chosen to void your own return. And if he refuses, then he keeps the term. Evara absorbed that. So did Orren. She could ask him to break it. He would have to refuse her. He did not know if he could. What if I am silent? She asked. Orren's throat tightened. Volos looked at him when he answered her. Then you are silent. Evara said, silence is not refusal. No. Silence is not consent. No. Silence is not absence. Volos's gaze remained on Orren. No. The word entered Orren and found the wound. Silence is not absence. He tried to place it somewhere it would hold. The sea answered with black water. Evara kept going. If I pause? Permitted. Orren flinched. He could not help it. Evara saw. Her mouth tightened, but she did not soften the question. If I pause for one breath? Permitted. If I pause longer? Permitted. Unless you choose not to continue. How is that judged? By you. Volos' answer surprised even Nim, whose mouth fell open. Evara's eyes narrowed. The house will know my choice. Yes. And if I do not know it yet, then neither does the house. The words unsettled the chamber, or only Orren. He stared at Volos, a term with a place for Evara's uncertainty, a term that did not decide for her until she did. That was not mercy. It was worse. It made the test fair enough that Orren could not hate it cleanly. Evara drew a long breath. Then she looked at Orren. Do you understand? He wanted to say yes. She would hear the lie before the house did. No, he said. Her face changed. I understand the words, he said. A tiny breath left her, almost a laugh, almost grief. Good, she said. That is a start. Volos said, acceptance must be spoken separately. Orren looked at him. By both, Volos said. Good. That word came from somewhere in Orren he did not expect. By both, Evara was not cargo, not prize, not a thing the house returned, because he had sung well enough. By both. Volos looked at him. Orren kelled. Do you accept the terms as spoken, witnessed, and recorded? The room narrowed. All of it pressed toward his mouth. Irene stood very still. Pell had both hands over his eyes, but had spread 2 fingers to look through. Nim mouthed something silently. Perhaps the terms. Perhaps a prayer. Perhaps an inventory of everything that could go wrong and become his fault. Evara did not look away from Orren. He thought of saying no. The thought appeared and died quickly. Too quickly, perhaps. If he said no, Evara remained. He returned alone, or did not return at all. The road ended here, and everything became ash and blue fire, and a chair she might sit in because she was tired past sleep. He could not. No, the word was gone, before it had lived. He wanted to promise her he would not fail. He did not. That too mattered. I accept, Orren said. The words left him quietly. The house took them. He felt it. Not magic like warmth or song. A listening made solid. The terms moved around his ribs and settled behind his throat. The place where song began became suddenly aware of law. He swallowed. Volos turned to Evara. Evara Soln, do you accept your part, that you may walk by your own steps along the outward path, that no return is owed unless you choose those steps, and that the bargain stands only within the terms spoken, witnessed, and recorded? Evara looked at the record, then at Volos, then at Orren. Her eyes held his for one breath. 2. She did not smile. She did not promise. I will walk, she said. Hope opened in Orren so violently that pain blurred. Not I will come. I will walk. He heard the difference. He did. He hated the difference. He loved her for it. The house took her words, too. The blue fire went black for one breath. In that breath, Orren heard nothing. Not the dead. Not the records. Not Irene. Not Evara breathing. Nothing. Then the fire returned. The 2 black glass records lifted from the table, slid back to the wall, and vanished into separate drawers. The drawers closed. Volos lowered his hand. A passage opened at the far end of the chamber. Narrow, dark. No blue light inside. Only a faint greyness somewhere far beyond. like morning seen through heavy cloth. "The outward path," Volus said. Orren stood. The chair did not scrape this time. Evara moved to stand behind him. Behind? Already the shape of it struck. He turned toward her before remembering. Not a full turn. Enough that she saw. Enough that Volos saw. Enough that the house noticed. Evara's face tightened. "Not yet," she said. "Not angry. Afraid." Orren closed his eyes, then faced the path. His hands curled at his sides until his nails bit his palms. He heard Evara step behind him. One step. Real. Near. The sound entered him like bread after starvation. He told himself it would be enough. The path waited. Volos said nothing more. Iron's voice came softly from behind and to the side, already farther than it should have been. No cleverness. Orren did not answer. Evara took another step. He listened. The sound was small, alive or dead. It was hers. Orren stepped into the dark.
Rain on the sill, salt in the flame. When the door goes quiet and the room lets go, lay the last word gently where the dark runs slow.
There is still a road under ash, under rain. There is still a voice trying not to break. Carry the song through the dark and the foam. Carry the name when the cold calls home. Leave one small light where the lost can remain. I will find you by listening. You will know me by name.
Rain on the sill,
Salt in the flame. The door goes quiet. Carry